Watch till the end because missing even one of these tips can cost you marks. You are gonna lose marks, okay? So do not do that mistakes, my dear kids. All the killer tips you need to score 95% in your board exams and the extra 15 marks that we were talking about. Oh, what the student trying to say? It's clearly written there. It will save him time and you. Board exams does not test who studies the most. They test who writes the smartest answer. Hello my dear class 10 students, let me tell you something shocking. Two students write the same answers, one get 68 out of 80, other gets 60, 75 out of 80. What? Same knowledge, same syllabus. So where did these extra marks come from? In your board exams, the way you present your paper, the way you write your answers can easily make you fetch up to 15 marks. So, are you ready to fetch those 15 marks in your upcoming board exams? I'm sure you are. And if you think paper presentation means good handwriting, let me stop you right there. Watch till the end because missing even one of these tips can cost you marks. Okay, so why presentation matter? First of all, the basic question, why presentation matter? So the examiner, if you're thinking from an examiner point of view, an examiner has to check about 100 to 120 copies every day. They have limited time and they are looking for clear answers, not long stories, my dear kids. So if your answer looks messy, crowded, confusing, so the examiner is already fed up by just looking at your answer. So what they will do, they will not properly score it. Your marks will get deducted. So what you should do, you should write your answers in a clean, organized and easy to read manner. Okay, now what will this do? This will help examiner to read your answer easily. The examiner is already happy even before reading your answer. So let's start with the killer tips. Tip number 1. Start every answer on a new line. So for example, this kid, he answered all the parts right, but in between these parts, in these questions, they did not leave any gaps, okay? But on the right hand side, this kid, what did they do? They properly put space in between these lines, and due to that spacing, they will fetch 1-2 extra marks because of this way of answer writing. Okay? If your answer is not clearly separated, even correct points can go missing. Okay? So what you must do, start every answer with a new line. Leave one clear line gap between each answer. And write your question number properly, my dear kids. Okay, that was tip number 1. From tip number 2, bullet points equals to free marks. So there are two ways of answer writing. Either you can write everything in a paragraph, or you can do what you can do, you clearly make bullet points. You can write each answer in a fresh bullet point. So if suppose your answer is in a paragraph format, right? So what you can do, you can make bullet points from that particular paragraph and write those bullet points with clear spacing in between them. Now what this will do, as soon as the examiner looks at your answer, he does not need to find anything. He can already see the bullet points written right there. Oh, what the student trying to say? It's clearly written there. It will save him time and you the extra marks. Okay, tip number 3. Underlining tool is most powerful tool, okay, if used correctly. Because some students, what they do, my dear kids, they underline the whole sentence. That is not required. What you need is to underline only the important keywords. For example, in this answer, this particular kid, they underlined every word that is important. Adrenaline, adrenal glands, okay, flight or fight response, okay. But in here, this answer, what this kid did, he wrote the answer correctly in very beautiful handwriting and all, but they did not underline anything. They did not underline the important keywords, okay. Only important, so make sure to underline only important keywords, definitions, scientific terms, important dates, okay. Do not forget to underline these things and do not overline, okay. Underlining keywords is one thing, but what does student do? They overline everything. They underline everything, okay. Just do not do that mistakes, my dear kids. Moving on, next tip. Diagrams equals to bonus marks, okay. So yes, it is very shocking, but the same diagram, this student got 3 marks, and for the same diagram this student got 4 marks. Okay, so where does these extra 1-2 mark came from? See, you can see here this student did not draw the diagram very beautifully, but they did not label anything. Okay, for here the student labeled each part of this diagram. Okay, these labeling diagrams can easily make you fetch those extra 2-3 marks. Okay, so make sure whenever you're drawing any diagram in biology, physics, or even in chemistry, do one thing: always label your diagram properly. Okay, even if you're not a good artist, you're not a Picasso, it's okay, but if you draw your diagram and label it properly, that will help you fetch extra mark than this one. Okay, if you do not label it. Next tip number 5, stepwise writing. Stepwise writing, my dear kids. So in CBSE curriculum, how they check your answer, it is stepwise marking. Okay, so how many steps have you written? That is very important. Okay, so if your answer, even if your answer is incorrect, supposedly by some calculation mistake in maths and physics, okay, due to some calculation mistakes, you are not able to score, you are not able to get the correct answer. So what will happen? Will you lose mark? No, you will not lose marks if you have done your question in proper steps. For example, in these questions, given what is given in the question, what is to find, and this is the solution, and this is the final answer. Okay, everything is clearly mentioned in these steps. Okay, but if by some mistake, let's say this kid did not get the correct answer here, so what they will get? They will get the marks for the stepwise writing. Okay, marks for the stepwise writing. That's what CBSE is for. Okay, so even if your answer is wrong, if you wrote the correct steps, you will get the correct marks. Okay, you will get some marks. Next step, neatness and spacing. So what does neatness and spacing means, my dear kids? That if you're writing your answers, they should be neatly written. There should not be any cutting, overwriting, or any sort of scribbling on your answer sheet. Okay, neatly you need to write it. You do not need to have a beautiful handwriting. If you write your answers neatly, that is gonna fetch you extra marks. Okay, spacing means you provide space in between your answers. See, for example, in this particular sheet, this kid, what they do, so in the sections also and in between the questions also, they provided gaps, they provided proper spacing, and that is gonna fetch them extra marks. Okay, my dear kids. Last tip is proper sectioning. So from this year onwards, so this paper pattern has changed for CBSE. You have 3 sections in science, you have 4 sections in SST, right? So in these sections, if you mix match questions or you do not properly mention which section questions you are attempting, you are gonna lose marks. Okay, so do not do that mistakes, my dear kids. We do not want you to lose marks. Okay, so what you should do, you should properly mention every section. So if you are doing question from section A, mention it. This question is from section A, but do not do it like that. You started with section A, then you find some question of section B, and then you started again from section A. That's not how you attempt your paper, my dear kids. What do? You start with section A, you leave space for all the questions in section A, so that if you do remember any question later on, you can come back and write it there only, and then start your section B and then your section C. Okay, so that's how you proceed in your board. That was all the tips from my side, all the killer tips you need to score 95% in your board exams and the extra 15 marks that we were talking about. Okay, now listen carefully, my dear kids. Board exams does not test who studies the most. They test who writes the smartest answer. Okay, so if you know the syllabus clearly, make sure your answer sheet shows that you know the answers. Okay, and go rock, my champions. All the best for your upcoming exams. Do subscribe to the channel and give this video a thumbs up. Take care. Bye.